So let's take a look at some of these people problems that we might deal with. And in the first one, it says that with only a change in a manager, we notice that there's a change in performance. Do the employees need training? Why or why not? What do you think about that one, generally speaking?
No, fire the manager.
No, fire the manager. Yeah, we're all quick to do that. But the reality is, okay, it probably isn't training. Now, what's interesting is it is possible that it's a training issue.
Train the manager.
Well, training for the manager, sure. But let's say this, what is possible here that might tell you that the employees are actually lacking in their own capability to do the work? You change the boss.
Change in expectations.
Could be a change in expectations. It could be that the old boss used to do a lot of the work for the employees. So as soon as that boss left, now all of a sudden the new boss doesn't do that anymore, and it means that the employees do need some training. It's an outside chance. Mostly I think you're right that it's probably not a training issue. And when you look at some of these things, you might have to rule them out according to what you think it might be. One of the people that said about this course what it changed is when the supervisor, the working leader, ran into a people problem or a performance problem, the fact that they were able to eliminate possible causes was really a great systematic, consciously competent skill set. So you go, well, gee, maybe it's training, so you offer some training, no change. Maybe it's systems problems, so you try to fix the system, no change. So you start to weed out what the issues could be. So chances are here we've just got a different manager, different set of expectations, and the employees have scaled back their performance. All right. Number 2 says an average of 14% of the units assembled are rejected, and people are scheduled on overtime to fix them. Is it a training issue or not? What could be at play here, Jen?
I said no, you're rewarding poor behavior and poor performance.
Yeah, so what's interesting is we offer people overtime. Some people have been known to sort of milk the system that way. So overtime's offered, so maybe we'll let this slide. We'll fix it on the overtime. We'll pick that up on the overtime. So what we end up doing is we actually, even though some people get tired of working overtime after a while, sometimes they might view overtime as an incentive, which could actually, we could be incentivizing the very behavior that we don't want to see happen. Number 3 says, an experienced clerical person is causing problems by not turning his work in on time. Does he need training? Why or why not? What are your feelings on that one?
Depends on whether it's a new work duty or not.
Oh, so something may have changed in the job, and if that's the case, maybe it is a training issue. Otherwise, it says experienced, so we would kind of think that that means the person shouldn't need training. What could be going on here? Could be motivation. The person doesn't feel that there's any consequences of not turning it in. Maybe nobody sat down and said how important it is to have the work done on time. So again, could be a motivational issue. And 4th, an administrative assistant makes an average of 2 to 3 errors in every letter that she types. Does she need training? Why or why not?
Might be she's overworked.
Could be overworked, which would be a systemic problem. So we might want to look at that. Could be motivation, because maybe she's used to somebody else proofreading the stuff before it goes out and so doesn't think it's that important. Again, may never have been told what the consequences are. Maybe it's a new piece of software and the person's just getting used to it and it's not working right. Maybe they didn't know about spell check and that sort of thing, right? So again, as you're confronted with an employee situation, take a look. It actually even could be the 4th column, which is personal capability. Maybe that the person has trouble with literacy skills. You'd be maybe not shocked, but it's surprising that about 10% of the population, generally speaking, has issues around reading and writing. So those kinds of things can come up, and sometimes people will be quite defensive about letting anyone see that weakness, and so they'll overcompensate. And in fact, one case that I had recently, the supervisor was really grumpy and aggressive and mean. And it turned out, one-on-one, he shared with me that his issue was he couldn't read and write. So his defensive behavior towards others, which was demeaning towards them, was really to protect himself from having his weakness shown. And once he was willing to say, hey, I got this issue, then he became a pussycat in terms of supervisor. It was a night and day difference. His total aggressive behavior was because of his own lack of self-confidence related to that issue. Okay? So it's interesting when you dissect behavior, what you think you're seeing is not often what it is under the surface.